So that's kind of where we're at pre-match. I want to show you some stuff in play using Live Logic and our live lineups, which is on players. So if you click on, if we have a look at Premier League match, so Arsenal, who have kicked off, just get flash scores up. So 0-0 in the 3 Premier League games after 10 minutes. If you click on the V, so you get another pop-up here that comes up. This is player analysis, and at the top right of that screen there's a live lineups link. Now this is the live lineups for every match that's in play at the moment across in the big leagues. So we've got quite a bit of information here. Sociedad have just kicked off against Malaga. We're looking at the Arsenal game. So this is just like a text base from a feed that's come in. So we've got, for Arsenal, they've got a few players injured, obviously, for today. Gibbs, Jenkinson, Walcott, and Szczesny. None of them were named in the starting lineup. If we click on the game, we actually see the live lineups that the team is playing today. So we see that this is their average points per game adjusted to the opposition form. So Ravi, I've just seen your question. How do you decide which bets which bets make the daily recommendations and which you leave out? Well, we have a lot of back-end systems that we've used to test matches, test strategies over the years. They're just the games that we like best. So if you imagine all of the 45 leagues that we look at, we have systems that break that down into a short list of bets. That's more on the analytical side, just the data, something's come up that's strong. We then go and look at that game, and we look at it for things that wouldn't be taken into account into that algorithm, such as team news, such as motivation, such as did they play a Champions League match on Wednesday night. And it's really the skill and just practice of having used them and having looked at them and having seen results in the games that we like, and also teams that you kind of get a feel of that you don't trust. So, for instance, I mean, it's massively overtime because I've just seen that Villa have scored, but Stoke came up as quite strong as a strong bet this weekend on a lot of stats. Their home form, if you're looking over a few seasons based, is strong, still very strong, but they've just burnt us too many times this season, and I think the way the fans are with Pulis at the moment, Stoke don't have too much to play for, although if they do lose that and a few other results don't go their way, then they could slip back down into trouble. Though we just decided to leave them alone. So we don't have a set number of daily recommendations that we go with each week. It's just the kind of feel that we have for the leagues. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Type back if there's anything else you want. So these are the live lineups that we've got for Arsenal. So we get this for all of the main leagues. It's quite a quick way of getting in. So if I look at this, that came in at quarter to 3. If you wanted, you could wait until that point to place your bet to know for sure that the game was the bet was good, that you liked I don't know, Santi Cazorla, and you wanted to check that Wenger didn't do anything stupid and not play him. Player is a great tool. There are players that you don't appreciate how strong they are for their team, especially in, not necessarily in the Prem, but certainly in the Championship and League One. Players that if they don't play, their team will be a lot worse, and also their team might set up completely different. They might suddenly become an undergoals team instead of an overgoals team. They might think, actually, we're going to struggle to win this game. We're going to play for a draw instead. And you select those games where that player has missed before, and you actually see that these teams are in 2 or 3 places of the team they're playing today. And that manager, if it worked before, is probably going to do the same tactic again. Okay, so the 2 main tools that Formula Black offers that we don't in the other products are Live Logic and Players. So we've gone through Players. So if I go to Live Logic, again, so the homepage for Live Logic is here. So At the moment, we have a lot of leagues in play, as you would expect. This is the busiest time of the week, 3:15 on a Saturday. Scrolling down, we've got Austria, League One, Championship, League Two, Spain, there's one game there, Sociedad, Germany, Bundesliga, Italy, Serie B, full fixture list there pretty much. Norway, beginning of their season, Poland, Russia, Scotland, obviously, Sweden, and Turkey. Now, unless you've got a team of a lot of traders working, it's going to be difficult to see every bet and every opportunity that's happened. The way I would do this, if you click on Customize View, you can deselect all. And for now, let's just concentrate on 3 leagues that are playing at the moment where we've got a bit of data so we can be a bit selective. So we go for the Prem, Championship, and the Bundesliga. This is sorted by, we've got Championship at the top, then we've got the Prem, and then we've got the Bundesliga. We will leave the Bundesliga for a second, although I've just seen that Augsburg have scored 2 in about 2 minutes at Dortmund when they were trailing before. Interestingly, the Leverkusen-Wolfsburg game is still 1-0, and over 3.5 has drifted out to 3.85. So we were reasonably fortunate to leave that one alone. So we've got the Championship games. Obviously, there's 11 matches in play at the moment. Prem, there's only 3 games, and the Bundesliga, there are 5 matches. Going on to the alerts, you could just watch this page, wait for one to flash up red. That's when a 5-minute alarm's happened. So it's got to 10 or 15 minutes, or there's a goal scored. You see that all of these are different times. So Birmingham Millwall kicked off a minute later than Bolton Wolves did, which kicked off a minute later than Brighton Leicester did. Some of the stats are quite interesting. So Brighton have drawn 10 of their last 20 home matches against Leicester when level after 15 minutes. It's an interesting stat, but it would take a lot of reading and then going through them to work out a strong bet. What you can do, you can link this back to in-play query. So we know that stat about Brighton is true, but we actually want to look at those results a bit more. That 10 of their last 20 when they've been level at 15 minutes they've drawn. So we go back to in-play query, we select Championship and Brighton versus Leicester. We're 20 minutes in, we're level, we're drawing. We want to go back. We want to go back for the last 20, so we want to see so we're in home games as well. Generate the query. We're also going to get, obviously, up Leicester's results when we were level as well. So it was level at 15 minutes, not level at 20 minutes. So you see, it's pretty quick to get around the software when you're trading live. So this backs up the data. So that 10 of the 20 matches that were level after 20 minutes ended level, but actually it's only 2 of the last 7. They're actually pretty strong at the moment, Brighton, when they've got to this point being level. Leicester as well, a smattering of draws, 4 out of 10. It's not a bet that I'm going to go and play straight away. I need more in the game. We just see there, if you caught that, Crystal Palace versus Burnley, 0-0 after 15 minutes, highlighted red because we just got to the 15-minute point. Palace have had 6 of their last 10 against bottom half teams, over 2.5 goals. Barnsley have conceded first in 14 of their last away matches. A couple of ways we could look at that. We could either say, do we want to back over goals, which would have drifted out to quite a nice price now. Just loading up on Betfair on another screen. You can see that Palace's win price is only evens. They must be playing pretty well. They didn't start much different to that. The last price match was 1.99. Look at their graph. I wouldn't read too much into that, but we recommended backing Palace this morning, and the price hasn't moved much, which is a good sign. They're the better team. Sometimes that happens. We look at the over goals market, whereas this will have drifted. We see that there's been quite a significant drift recently. Over goals was obviously quite fancied this morning, drifting out because there's no goals after 15 minutes. But there could be to come. What you can do with Live Logic to stop you wading through all this data and all these different matches that are alerting you at different times, you can set up your own customized alerts. You can set up to 5 alerts, and the ones that I stick to, so I've set up 2 already today. So look for one in the first half of the match. So here we've got the leagues that we're looking at: Premier League and Championship, and Bundesliga. I'm looking for an indication of a win. So on the home team side, so I'm looking for teams that have won previously in the situation they are. I'm looking for when they've been drawing in that first half, or still in the first half here, and I'm looking for a strength of greater than 60%. So that's just simply the stat converted into a percentage. So we need 12 out of 20, or bigger. So we see with our first alert that the first one that's come up. Nottingham Forest have won 6 of their last home matches against bottom half teams. That's obviously greater or equal to 60%. That's come up. We're also looking at Arsenal. Arsenal won 6 of their last 10 away matches against top half teams. 6th occurrence. I can go to their games and look at the prices, and I'm pretty sure that both of them will be will look quite value relative to that price. Now, it also looks to me that West Brom have lost 5 of their last 9 home matches. Now, I think we're still at 0-0. Let's have a check. That will go straight away as soon as it realises it's not 0-0. So it is still 0-0 at the moment. We go and have a look at the Arsenal match. It looks like the market's just been suspended. Arsenal just scored, so it's quite a good time to get it. Unfortunately, we missed the bet. I can't promise they're all that easy. The second alert that we've got is again for the same leagues that we're looking at. Now, for here, I'm looking strictly at half-time. I'm happy for either team. What I'm looking for is an indication there's going to be more goals in the game. I'm looking at, so I want to look at over goals market, over 2.5, over 3.5 goals. I want greater than 50%. Here I'm looking for a chance of there being two or more goals in the game, so 2 or more further goals in the game. I saved my query. Parameters have been changed, so the page is going to update. Should be quite a good time to look at it because the 5 Bundesliga matches have gone to are at half-time now. Just looking down at the results, not too much happening. Bremen 0-0 versus Schalke. So there, I'd be surprised if we get an over 2.5 goal shout. Dortmund versus Augsburg. It'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we can, while this is updating, it shouldn't take that long, but here we go. So we see that we've got three alerts now. We can see that Arsenal, because they've gone 1-0 up, they've gone. That alert, the first alert, was about teams that were drawing in the first half, and over 60%. They're not drawing anymore, so they're not on there. We see the first one that comes up, Leverkusen versus Wolfsburg, the game that we were looking at earlier. Now, unsurprisingly, it's come up on Wolfsburg's side because we saw the stat earlier on that there were 9 out of 10 over 3.5 goals against top 6 teams. So this is tempting me into a bet. They're over 2.5 in 8 of their last 10. So I'm going to go back and have a look at the Leverkusen Wolfsburg market. Leverkusen still about the same price, 1.19. I think they were 1.2 when we first looked. Over 1.5 goals is 1.18. Some people are interested in backing that. I'm not at all. Over 2.5 is 1.92. So I'm interested in this bet now. So got a bit of time at half time. It's only just gone to half time, so I've probably got 10 minutes to strike a bet. Sometimes the price will drift. Just because time has elapsed, there will be people laying it. We want to have a look. Pre-match query for Leverkusen. So Leverkusen are playing Wolfsburg, who are a middle third team. So keep it on middle third at the moment, and Wolfsburg are playing a top 6 team, which we already established. Leverkusen were. We selected them in pre-match query. They'll be carried across into in-play query. So we'll see that the pre-match filters are selected here. We want to look at half-time. I think we'll probably be okay to look at the score 1-0 to Dortmund. It's very different when you've got a big favourite looking at 1-0 rather than 0-1. In some cases, like the Swansea, Norwich Swansea game, I would be happy to look at just one match goal as the filter, but here I want to look at when the team is actually winning 1-0, when the favourite team, because it'll be such a difference in results. We don't know how much sample we're going to get here. When we actually, the live logic stat was based on there being 1 goal in the game. This is narrowing it down more closely to when there have been when the home team has been winning 1-0, and also we can go back even further because these teams have been, if we have a look at pre-match query, you can see that Leverkusen have been a constant fixture in the league over the last 5 seasons, as have Wolfsburg. So our in-play query, we can actually go back further. Now, a lot of time we get into a debate of how long back do we want to go in data. 5 years might be too much, but then it also increases your sample size. In the first example, when we're only going back to 2010-11, which is still a reasonable amount, we see that Leverkusen have had over goals in 3 of 5 matches, and actually all of those 3 had plus 3.5 goals. Also, Wolfsburg's last 2 that both happened this season. And also, when I'm looking at these games, they were 1-0 down to Bayern, they lost 3-0. They were 1-0 down to Schalke, they lost 3-0. They're a poor away team going to a good team, and they're 1-0 down at half-time. They're going to be demoralised at half-time. How are they going to respond to that? Looking at the so the larger sample size, we see that 8 of 12 Leverkusen's games had over 2.5 goals, as of 13 of Wolfsburg's. It still looks strong. Okay, I'm pretty convinced this is going to be a bet. But another thing we can do is that this sample size is obviously showing us just the teams in question, but we're pretty sure that Leverkusen are a top 6 team, and we're pretty sure that Wolfsburg are a middle third team. They're not going down. So what we can do, we can have an all teams query. So rather than just look at the teams in question, we can actually look at what happens when we can do this pre-match or in play. But let's do it in play, as we're in play at the moment. So we've got, rather than look at Leverkusen home or Leverkusen away, we want to look at every team. Now, to do the pre-match filter, we also need to select our position as top 6, which Leverkusen's is. Now, this will give us a better idea of how that market is priced up at 1.91 at the moment. So the score is 1-0 at half-time. It's a top 6 team versus a middle third team. We're going back the whole data. The German league hasn't changed in any real noticeable fashion over the last 5 years. So now we've got 53 matches. Obviously, Leverkusen will be involved in some of these, like their game against Mainz, but most of them, they won't be. We won't get too many of Wolfsburg either. Interestingly, the top 6 team has only won 70% of the home matches. Now we look at the price, and they're 1.2. So it could be an argument for laying Leverkusen. Now, nothing in the Wolfsburg makeup has actually convinced us to do that, so I'm not going to be jumping in and doing that. Another match goal, which is quite interesting as we get later on in the game, is 1.08. 92% of the matches have had another match goal. There was actually 1.18 for over 1.5 goals. That's drifted to 1.2 now. So while, again, I'm not going to be backing 1.2 shots, it's interesting that there does seem to be a little bit of value there. Going to match goals, we see that 60% of the 53 games between top 6 middle and middle third teams that have been 1-0 at half-time have had plus 2.5 goals. Now, everything I've looked at shows me that over 2.5 goals in Leverkusen versus Wolfsburg when it's 1-0 at half-time is value. So I'm going to strike that bet at 1.91. And that is pretty much all I need to say today for how to use Formula Black. Now, if you have any questions, I will unmute everyone and just fire them away. Or if you like, you can type any questions in the box below.
Hi, Will.
Hi.
Hey, can I just check that in the game notes, sorry, not the game notes, yeah, the game notes, where it says, I'm looking at the Leicester-Brighton game.
Yep.
It says that there have been under 2.5 goals in 11 of 17 Brighton home matches.
Yep.
When it says that, is it referring to the last 17 matches?
Yeah, so that's Brighton's last 17 home matches, so that's correct.
Yeah, okay. And generally it will refer to the last 17 as opposed to...
Yeah, that's right. The denominator in the the game notes, because we cover so many leagues, are done on an automated basis, and essentially it will say that they had, I don't know, say it was 60% in their last 10. It would keep increasing the denominator until it dropped below a certain size to make the bet a bit stronger.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
If there aren't any other further questions, I think I'll call that a day. Thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, you can get in contact on our Twitter, which is @FootballFormLab, or on my personal Twitter, which is @Wild, W-I-L-D-E, Will. You can email me at wwild@footballformlabs.com. And I hope you have a profitable weekend. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Will.